Hi guys, my name is Peter C. Dr. Junior, mathematics instructor at the University of Liberia and your math tutor. In my today's video, I will be discussing finding derivatives of functions by means of the methods of differentiation. So we want to particularly look at finding derivatives of constant functions. And when we say constant functions, we actually mean the numbers functions that involve numbers. So we want to look at few of these functions or few of those functions that we call constant functions. So in example 1, we have about 5 examples or 5 problems. You have A to E. So the first problem says y equals to 3. So how can we find the derivative of y equals to 3? The second function says f of x equals to minus 12. The third function says g of x equals to the square root of 10. And the last function says h of x equals minus 3 over 2. Now, all of these functions are constant functions because they do not have variable attached to them, or the invisible variable that is attached to them, its power is equal to 0. Then we refer to these functions as constant function. So now we know from our previous discussion when it comes to the derivation of the power rule, we did say that if we have a function f of x equals x raised to the power n, if we have such a function and we want to find f prime of x, according to our derivation, it was proven that f prime of x is equals n. That is, you bring this n down, you rewrite this base x, and you subtract 1 from the power. So the derivative of f of x equals to x raised to the power n is just equal to f prime of x, which is n times x raised to the power n plus 1. This is our derivative. But what if we just have numbers? We do not have variables attached to them. So when a number is standing alone, there is an invisible variable attached to that number, and that variable is raised to the power of 0. So if we carefully find the derivative of this function by means of using this formula, which we call the power rule, we can now say y prime is equal, now our n in this case is 0. So we can now say 3. Now we bring this 0 down and we write this x and raise this power to 0 minus 1. So this is n minus 1. So it's 0 now minus 1. So 3 times 0 gave us 0 times x raised to the power minus 1. So y prime would just be equal to 0 because 0 multiplied by anything is 0. So if we apply this same method for question 1b, question 1c, question 1d, question 1e, we will arrive at our final answer to be 0. That is, if we put x raised to the power 0, x raised to the power 0, x raised to the power 0, and you multiply 0 by this 12, 0 by square root of 10, 0 by minus 3 over 2, all of them will arrive at our final answer 0. Therefore, we concluded that the derivative of a constant, according to our previous video, we said that the derivative of a constant, of any constant, any number, is just equal to 0. So the derivative of this constant is 0. the derivative of this constant, g prime of x, this is 0, and the derivative of this constant is 0. Now, the fact that we attached x and we raised it to the power 0 doesn't mean that it is not a constant function. It remains a constant function since x is raised to the power 0. If it was x raised to the first power, it means it's a linear function. Second power, a quadratic function. Third power, a cubic function. Fourth power, a quartic function, and so forth. So this is how we find the derivative of a constant. Thank you very much for watching. See you in our next video.